Welcome. You've made it here, and that already means something. If you find comfort in this space, if these words bring you even a moment of quiet, you're warmly invited to subscribe, to like this video, or leave a gentle comment below, not out of obligation, but simply to mark a place you can return to on the nights that feel heavy. Now, let's begin. We begin here, in the quiet. Not the kind of quiet that comes from silence alone, but the stillness that forms when we finally put down what we've been carrying all day. There are some weights we never talk about. The ones no one sees. The ones that don't sit on our shoulders, but in our chest, invisible, but heavy. They don't announce themselves. They don't crash in. They just settle, like dust on a shelf we forgot to clean. A buildup of emotions that were never given names. Maybe it's the pressure to always be okay. Maybe it's the expectation that you should have been farther by now. Maybe it's the exhaustion of pretending to have answers when you barely have enough energy to ask questions. Or maybe it's the quiet ache that lingers when you know something needs to change, but you're too tired to move, too tired to care, too tired to try. You don't need to fix anything right now. This isn't a space for solutions. This is a space for recognition. A place where nothing is required of you, except presence. Not perfect presence. Not engaged or alert. Just here. Tonight, we're simply breathing with what is. Sitting beside the heaviness instead of running from it. Noticing how it moves, how it softens, how it settles when it's no longer fighting to be ignored. It's okay to not understand all of it. You don't need to know the source of your pain to be allowed to feel it. Not everything has to be traced or named to be real. Some of us have been holding on for too long. To old stories. To lost versions of ourselves. To roles that no longer fit. We hold on because letting go feels like failure. Or abandonment. Or the fear that if we let go, there will be nothing left. No identity. No anchor. No direction. But what if we didn't label it as letting go? What if we simply called it loosening? Unclenching. Opening. Creating space not to erase what was, but to allow something new to breathe. You don't have to leap. You don't have to burn bridges. You just have to stop holding on with both hands. Maybe one hand is enough. Maybe that's all it takes to begin. Right now, just imagine your breath like the tide, pulling in and releasing out. No pressure. No effort. Just presence. Let your shoulders fall. Let your jaw unclench. Let the space between your eyes soften. Let the weight know it's safe to rest. It doesn't have to be carried tonight. You're not broken for feeling tired. You're not weak for needing pause. Even the strongest rivers slow at the bend. Even the wind stills before it shifts direction. If no one's told you this today, you don't have to hold it all together. Not tonight. You are allowed to feel heavy. You are allowed to not know. You are allowed to take up space even when you're not performing strength. You don't have to explain your tiredness. You don't need a reason to rest. The body knows before the mind catches up, and tonight, your body is asking for softness. You can rest now. Not because everything is solved, but because your soul deserves peace even in the middle of the story. There's something we've all been taught, even if no one said it out loud, that strength means holding on, pushing through, never breaking. That endurance is noble, and surrender is weakness. But what if that isn't true? What if the strongest thing you can do is stop clinging to what's been hurting you? Tonight, let's sit gently with that question. Not to argue with our past, but to soften around it. Carl Jung once said, "What you resist persists." And maybe, in our attempts to prove we're strong, we've been resisting our own healing. We hold on to roles, relationships, beliefs, not because they still serve us, but because letting go feels like failure. Like giving up. Like losing control of the only thing we thought made us whole. But holding on can become a mask. A suit of armor so heavy, we forget who we are underneath it. Sometimes, endurance is just avoidance dressed up as discipline. Think of a tree in winter. It doesn't force itself to bloom. It doesn't cling to its leaves when the season asks for rest. It sheds, quietly, gracefully, knowing that what looks like surrender is really preparation for something deeper. Maybe you're in a winter of your own. A quiet season where things are not ending, but pausing. Preparing. Becoming. And maybe your strength doesn't need to roar. Maybe it can whisper. Maybe it can tremble. Maybe it looks like staying in bed a little longer, breathing a little slower, and finally saying, "This doesn't serve me anymore." We live in a world that confuses exhaustion with dedication, that claps for those who never stop. But not all forward motion is healing, and not all stillness is weakness. The truth is, we all want to be seen as strong. But strength that isolates us, that exhausts us, that pushes us past the edge, isn't strength. It's survival. And survival has its place. But healing needs something gentler. It needs permission. It needs softness. It needs us to ask, what am I really trying to prove by holding on? You were never meant to carry it all. You were never meant to walk through every storm without pause. There is no medal for self-neglect. No honor in never resting. We're taught that pain is something to conquer. That if we're strong enough, we won't feel it. But in reality, true strength is feeling. And choosing not to be consumed. It's crying without shame. Pausing without apology. Saying no, without needing a reason. It's learning to sit with the ache, not to fix it, but to honor it. To listen to what it's been trying to say beneath all the noise. Strength is also knowing when something has run its course, when the chapter is closed, even if the story felt unfinished. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is release what no longer fits. The identity that was built in survival. The relationship that thrived on your self-abandonment. The idea that you're only worthy when you're productive. Letting go of these isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And wisdom isn't loud. It doesn't arrive in epiphanies or lightning strikes. It seeps in, like morning fog, soft and quiet, wrapping you in the truth you already knew. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to lay your armor down. You're allowed to be strong in new ways. In the way your voice quivers but speaks anyway. In the way you stay soft when the world tells you to harden. In the way you choose peace over performance. And if all you do tonight is breathe into that possibility, that's enough. Because real strength has nothing to prove. It just knows when it's time to let go. So inhale, gently, and exhale, everything you no longer need. You're not here to win a war. You're here to come home to yourself. Let the idea of strength transform. From tension to tenderness, from resistance to release, from holding on to allowing. Tonight, strength sounds like silence, feels like softness, and begins with letting go. There's a quiet kind of ache that comes after release. The moment after you finally let go of something, or someone, and realize there's nothing left to hold on to. It doesn't matter if what you released was harmful, or painful, or long overdue. It still leaves a space behind. An emptiness where something once lived. We don't talk about that part often. The grief that follows relief. Because letting go is painted as freedom, as peace, as liberation, and sometimes it is. But sometimes, it's also disorienting. When you've been holding on to something for so long, even if it hurt, it became familiar. And the body, the nervous system, it clings to what it knows, not because it's stubborn, but because it's searching for safety. That's what we're really grieving. Not just the person or the memory or the dream. We're grieving the part of us that believed in it. The version of us who built something around it. The identity that wrapped itself around it like a second skin. Letting go means saying goodbye to that version of you too. Think of autumn leaves. They don't fall because the tree failed. They fall because the season asked them to. Because growth depends on release. Because something new can only arrive when there's room for it to land. But that doesn't mean the letting go is easy, or clean, or without pain. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it feels like losing a part of yourself. Sometimes it brings a silence so loud, you wonder if you did the right thing at all. You did. That silence is not emptiness. It's space. And space is where healing begins. When you let go, you create space for rest, for rediscovery, for breathing room you forgot you needed. But don't rush to fill that space. Don't rush to move on or level up or get better. Sit in it. Breathe in it. Let it hold you. This is the tender part of healing, the in-between, where the old is gone but the new hasn't arrived. Where you're not who you were, but not quite who you're becoming. That space is sacred. And yes, it will feel lonely at times. Because parts of you are still adjusting. Still wondering if it's okay to no longer be needed. Still searching for something to cling to in the dark. But even the moon waits in darkness before it returns full. Even the ocean retreats before it reaches again. Even stars disappear behind clouds and return when the sky clears. So if you feel lost tonight, you are not lost. You're between chapters. And the pages are still turning. You haven't failed by releasing something that hurt you. You've honored yourself. You've said, I deserve peace more than I deserve to be right, or needed, or perfect. And that choice, that's grief and courage woven together. So allow the ache. Let it rise. Let it pass. You are not broken for mourning what you let go of. Even if it was never meant for you. Even if it hurt you. Even if your mind knew it was right, your heart still gets to feel. Because it mattered. Because it shaped you. Because some part of you loved it, or needed it, to survive. And you're allowed to miss it. To miss the dream, the comfort, the illusion. Missing doesn't mean you should go back. It just means you're human. And your healing deserves that grace. Tonight, we don't rush the process. We rest with it. We let the sadness be soft. We let the heart speak in whispers. We let the breath be enough. You are not empty. You are clearing. And clearing is the first step toward becoming. Let go. Grieve. Breathe. And trust, what falls away makes room for what is meant to stay. Letting go is not forgetting. It's not pretending something didn't happen. It's not rewriting the story or denying your feelings. Letting go is choosing peace over proving. Softness over struggle. Stillness over control. There's a kind of wisdom that only appears when we finally stop trying to wrestle clarity out of chaos. When we stop asking why it ended, why they left, why it didn't turn out the way we imagined. That wisdom doesn't come with answers. It comes with permission. Permission to rest. Permission to say, I don't know why, but I know I can't keep holding on. Surrender isn't a grand event. It doesn't look like a declaration. It looks like breath. Like letting the thought go before it tightens into anxiety. Like walking away, not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring for yourself. Carl Jung spoke often of integration, of facing the shadow not to fight it, but to understand it. And in the quiet act of surrender, that's what we begin to do. We turn inward. Not to shame what's there, but to hold it gently. To ask the fear, what are you trying to protect? To ask the sadness, what are you still waiting for? To ask the anger, what were you never allowed to say out loud? Surrender gives those voices room to speak. Not so we can silence them, but so we can stop letting them drive. We are so often taught to fight our way to closure. To chase it like it's a destination. To demand apologies. To tie the past in neat little bows. But closure rarely comes wrapped in clarity. It often comes in fragments. Moments. Waves. And sometimes, the most healing choice is to stop chasing the end of the story. And simply close the book. Not because the story wasn't worth reading, but because you are worth resting. Surrender doesn't mean you approve of what happened. It doesn't mean it was okay. It means you're choosing not to carry it anymore. Not in your body. Not in your sleep. Not in the quiet places that deserve peace. We often confuse surrender with numbness. We think emotional detachment means not feeling anything at all. But detachment, the healthy kind, is not about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. It's about saying, I can love you and still choose me. I can feel pain without drowning in it. I can release the story without needing to rewrite it. Detachment, in its purest form, is a boundary made of kindness. It says, I don't need to hold this to prove that it mattered. Think of fog lifting after a long rain. The clarity doesn't come from forcing the clouds to disappear. It comes from waiting, from watching, from allowing the air to clear in its own time. That's how surrender works. Not as a push, but as a permission. A permission to feel what's true now, not what was true then. To stop repeating the same emotional loop just because it's familiar. To stand still and say, this ends with me. This cycle. This pain. This need to over-explain your boundaries. This urge to always hold on tighter even when it hurts. It ends here. Because surrender is a homecoming. A return to yourself. To the parts of you that no longer need to be rescued. Only remembered. You don't need to be stronger to surrender. You don't need to have everything figured out. You only need to be tired enough to want something gentler. And if you're here tonight, still listening, still breathing, still hoping there's another way, that is enough. Let the letting go be holy. Let it be small and silent. Let it be sacred, not because of what you're leaving behind, but because of who you're choosing to become. Tonight, surrender might look like turning off your phone, letting the tears come, not responding to that message, or simply closing your eyes and saying, I've done enough for today. Because you have. You've carried enough. You've tried enough. You've held it together long enough. Now, let it go. Let it settle. Let it be over. And feel how that, too, is a kind of love. What remains after the release? After the letting go, the soft surrender, the silence that follows? Often, it's space. Not the empty kind, but the spacious kind. The kind that invites you to notice what's been here all along. Yourself. Not the self that performed. Not the self that hustled or pleased or endured. But the self that existed before the world told you who to be. Tonight, we walk quietly back to that self. The one underneath the layers. The one that doesn't need to prove or explain. The one that waits in stillness, not because it's lost, but because it's patient. Coming home to yourself is not a grand arrival. It's a remembering. A whisper. A soft turning inward. It starts with noticing the breath again. Not controlling it, just noticing. How it rises and falls. How it keeps showing up for you, even on the days you forget to. That's what your inner self is like. Unchanging. Unimpressed by your successes. Unafraid of your failures. It simply waits for you to slow down enough to feel it again. So much of life pulls us away from ourselves. Expectations. Noise. Stories about who we should be. People who only love us when we're useful. But tonight is not about usefulness. It's about belonging to yourself. You don't need to be inspiring right now. You don't need to have a plan. You just need to be here. Breathing. Existing. Resting. That is enough. Coming back to yourself means sitting in the quiet and learning not to fear it. It means asking, what do I feel now that I've stopped numbing? What do I need now that I'm listening? What do I miss now that I've created space to remember? You may find pieces of yourself you thought you lost. Dreams that still flicker. Truths that never stopped humming beneath the surface. A softness that feels like home. This return isn't fast. It isn't always comfortable. Sometimes it brings sadness. The kind that comes when you realize how long you've been gone from yourself. But even that sadness is sacred. It means you're coming back. It means the numbness is thawing. It means your heart is safe enough to feel again. Returning to yourself is not about fixing. It's about witnessing. Sitting with your own soul without judgment. Imagine a warm light at the center of your chest. Dim maybe, but steady. Each breath, a quiet invitation to draw closer. Each moment of rest, a way of saying, I'm here. I didn't forget you. You don't need to rush this. You don't need to have answers. Just awareness. Be curious. Be slow. Be kind. Ask yourself, what does peace feel like in my body? What would it be like to stop searching for something outside myself? What if the thing I was looking for was always me? You are not a project. You are not behind. You are not too far gone. You are here. And you are whole, even in your healing. Tonight there is nowhere to go. Nothing to do. Just a return. A reunion. A remembering of what has always been yours. The right to rest. The right to take up space. The right to be seen by you. So let this be enough. Let this stillness be sacred. Let this moment be a soft exhale, where you allow yourself to simply be. No masks. No performance. No pressure. Just you, breathing, resting, and slowly, gently, coming home. Sleep is not the end of the day. It's the soft returning. The quiet letting go. The gentle invitation to release everything you thought you had to carry just a little longer. You don't need to be strong now. You don't need to understand, explain, or finish anything. The mind can rest. The heart can soften. The body can settle into the quiet rhythm of enough. Let sleep be the surrender you've been resisting all day. Not because you're giving up, but because you're finally allowing yourself to be held. By the darkness. By the stillness. By something larger than your thoughts. Even now, as you listen, you might notice how the body is already responding. The jaw loosening. The shoulders releasing. The breath deepening. Each exhale saying, I no longer need to hold this. You have done enough for today. Even if nothing was finished. Even if the list is still long. Even if the answers haven't come yet. Rest does not require permission slips. It is your birthright. It is your boundary. It is your healing. Let the noise of the world fall away now. Let the unfinished be unfinished. Let the questions remain open. Let the ache be quiet for just a while. You're allowed to stop reaching. To stop trying to solve what cannot be solved tonight. To stop folding yourself into expectations that were never meant for you. Sleep is not a break from life. It is part of life. The pause that makes the music clearer. The darkness that allows light to be meaningful. You don't need to chase rest. You only need to allow it. Like a leaf floating gently to still water. Like the moon surrendering to dawn. Tonight nothing is required of you. You are enough. Not because of what you've done, but because you are. And maybe, as you begin to drift, there are still thoughts tugging at you. That's okay. You don't need to silence them. Just let them pass like clouds. You are the sky, vast enough to hold them, still enough to remain unchanged. If your heart still feels heavy, let it know it's safe to rest. Tell it gently. We're not abandoning the pain. We're simply not carrying it tonight. Feel the weight slide off your back, like a coat you've worn too long. Too heavy. Too tight. Too tired. You don't need to protect yourself and sleep. You are safe here. Safe to soften. Safe to surrender. Safe to rest. Let the blanket become an embrace. Let the darkness become your comfort. Let the silence become your sanctuary. There is nowhere to be now but here. No one to become. Nothing to prove. Just this moment. Just this breath. Just this stillness. You are held. You are loved. You are healing, even when you're not trying to. So breathe. And breathe again. With each inhale, draw in peace. With each exhale, release what is no longer yours to carry. You can rest now. Not because the world is fixed, but because your soul deserves softness. And sleep is a soft place to land. Let the rhythm of your breath be your lullaby. Let the darkness remind you, nothing is demanded of you now. You have arrived. You are enough. And as your body continues to slow, and your mind begins to drift, know this, you are not alone in this moment. This quiet is shared. This rest is sacred. And this night, this very night, is a gift you are allowed to receive. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for trusting your body enough to rest. Thank you for allowing your spirit to be seen, even in stillness. Now, close your eyes. Let go. And gently fall asleep.